Welcome to another episode of Golden Nuggets, Tips and Tales powered by Property Finder, the leading property platform and #1 property app in the region, driving more leads and transactions than any other platform. This is where super agents and smart home seekers meet even smarter tech, because behind every great listing and every hot lead is technology that works harder so you don't have to. Today, I'm joined by Jack Simpson, who's the sales director at Edwards & Towers, and they have 96% of their agents are actually Property Finder super agents. Good going. What about the other 4%?
We're getting there.
What's holding them up, do you think?
New to industry, mostly, but it's a very, very important metric for us as a business and one which we're very proud of.
So those that don't understand what it takes to become a super agent, what's the criteria?
Number of listings, response to lead, quality of listings. Ultimately, what we want to try and achieve, or by using Property Finder, is using our agents' listings and their incredible service to help rank us higher. And Property Finder want us to obviously promote quality in the industry and be professional. So speed to lead is really important.
Speed to lead.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Okay, yeah.
It's actually, the agents have a timed metric that is
I think they have
analysed
to answer within 6 minutes or something.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So if they don't do that, it has a negative impact on the actual customer that's waiting to find out more about the property.
Yeah.
And ultimately, if they're having a bad experience, it's negatively impacting Property Finder. So so I think it's fantastic. It also means that the agents are really, really focused and they understand the importance of handling that client, because if they miss it, I can bet you there's another agent waiting there.
Absolutely.
Who will
Then
help.
they're not just going to call you and then wait for you to call back before they resume their property search.
No, and unless that property is exclusive, why would they?
Yeah.
Everybody wants that information right now. They're online right now. They're looking right now, and why wait?
Majority of the leads are coming through on WhatsApp, so it'd be great to have some WhatsApp do's and don'ts from you.
Most of my experience as an agent has been the investor-led kind of off-plan investment properties, But it goes with anything. If nobody is willing to have a telephone conversation or have a dialogue with a professional on a call, then are they really serious? And a lot of new agents in particular, especially a younger generation, I'm not saying all of them, but because they've grown up with this WhatsApp culture or messenger, of constantly messaging, and not having that, telephone skill set as such drilled into them through their sales experience, they can often just think WhatsApp is the answer.
The forgotten art of conversation.
Yeah, I mean, when I started my career, I was trained by somebody who was very good on the phone, and it was just purely get on the phone, listen, hear how people are, and the tonality of the person on the other end of the phone will determine if they're serious or not. And it's so true. And equally, a home search has lots of emotion around it.
Well, it's the biggest deal in your life. If you need to move home.
Well, it depends how much money you got.
That's true. That's true.
Many big deals. But
or is the most disruptive? No, actually, no. Probably growing your family is probably quite disruptive too.
Yeah, I always say, in Dubai at least, it's a big decision, because if you're renting, it's limiting you to at least 12 months of your life. If you're buying, could be 3 times you'd ever do that in your life. So there is a big decision.
Yeah.
And to have that professional on the other end of a phone who has empathy in their tonality and excitement at sharing that experience with you, because you do become a partnership and a team ultimately. I always aim to meet people. So a telephone call. And I was always really good at that in my early stages of my career when I was selling subscriptions, actually. I would always build rapport on the phone, but, not try to take it too much longer than 6 or 7 minutes, and always go and see somebody face to face. It's so important.
So that phone call is not necessarily to sell.
Never.
It is just to set up the face to face.
And I always say that, with some of the agents that are working in the industry now, they think that first call has to equal a listing, a deal, actual business commission, because they've got a board in the office and it's got your name on it, and you know how much money everybody's making, and therefore you forget that it's about relationships, and ultimately the relationships will pay you over time. But because you're in that pressure environment of chasing deals, it can become a little bit like, oh my God, I'm just forgetting this human element now, and I'm just asking for money off someone straight away, and they don't even know you. You know, they don't even know if they want to employ you really to be their agent. So yeah, I think a lot of it's skipped. And I always say to guys, especially coming in to our business that are maybe fresh to industry or relatively new to sales, I just said it's forget about ultimately what you're doing this for is to get paid and make a living. Just strip it all back, and what you're really doing, you're just helping someone find their perfect home, and that is a pretty awesome job.
It is, actually. It was quite funny. One of my first deals in London, I remember they came into the office, they signed the contract. I think it was a Saturday. Everything was really busy, and I signed the contract, and I gave them the keys and receipt and everything, and then they left. And then I left immediately after, because I had to rush off to my next viewing or whatever it was on a Saturday. So I walked out and I could see them walking away. And you know that thing that you do with your legs when you kick a leg up and then
kick, sorry.
And they did that, and I looked, it was a guy, and he just kicked his legs up, and I was like, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's like, oh, I've got to sign a contract signing and key handover at 2:00. But to him, it's like, I'm getting the keys at 2:00 to my new place. And I was like, you forget that actually you're giving people the keys to the property that they're going to build memories in, that's their home. It's a big deal what we're doing.
It is. And it doesn't matter the property type either. Because, a young couple, it could be their first home together, and they're planning on, getting a dog. There's so much emotion around all the reasons why they're actually searching in the first place. The agent has to uncover all of that to really understand their motivations, rather than what's your budget?
Yeah. Cash or mortgage.
And that's what I did when I started in my career. When I was predominantly selling off plan, but I was given an old batch of inquiries, and all I did was I said, right, I am just going to be everybody's best friend on the phone, and build rapport, and ask them where they worked, and ask them about their family, and really find out where they're from, and try and relate and build a little bit of rapport and synergy between us on the phone for us then to meet in person, and it worked well. I remember I did my first deal on my 4th day of starting, which was an off-plan sale in Port de la Mer, and to this day I didn't have the knowledge, and I just loved that development. It was one of the first ones that I actually understood. I actually took the clients to Dubai Properties to see, I can't even remember what it was now. I think it might have even been Madinat Jumeirah Living at the time that was off plan as well. And it was like, where do we go? And they'd already been in to see Maras without me. And then I kind of got in to see Dubai Properties, didn't like it. And then they went back to Maras with me. And I remember being sat there, and they were like, yeah, let's go ahead. And then I sat there and I had no idea what to do.
Like, what?
I was like, and I remember messaging my CEO at the time. I was like, I think I'm doing a deal. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, they got the checkbook out, and there's a contract in
It
front of
looks
them,
like a deal.
and-
It smells
and
like a deal.
and I've got that pen that you gave me out, and it works,
Mhm.
you know, and that was it. And I was like, wow, this is brilliant. And I didn't really have a clue. I was just like, I'm going to be their best friend and help them on the journey, and it worked.
Brilliant advice. Okay,
Yeah.
befriend all your clients. But
Yeah.
how do you translate that to different nationalities, different cultures, and so on?
I think it's more on a character persona. Like, if you're not pushy, and you do take the time, and you do understand, and you share, you know, your recommendations of and reasoning why, without selling them that idea, and take more of a, you know, I would say a satellite approach and to assess, rather than this hardcore, I'm the best agent, listen to me, you're going to buy this now, then I think long term you'll win. And that was an amazing achievement for me, my first one. It also was a bit of a pat on the back, because I'd left quite a cushy corporate job beforehand, and all of a sudden I'd made like twice my salary at my old job in my first week, and I was like, oh, I'm flying now. But yeah, and continuation. I was just really persistent with checking in to see how they both were. Had a genuine interest in them, because they were really lovely people. They've actually moved to Greece now, but they did buy another property from me in District 1, which is another apartment there. So it was kind of two deals, if you like. But that lead was in effectively the bin at the company that I joined,
Right.
For 3 months. Brilliant.
Because they were taking their time to
Yeah,
make
or-
such an important decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the agent that was actually handling that client or that character, they didn't gel.
Right.
They were too pushy. They were too salesy. Who knows? But for whatever reason, that lead was mostly what happens is the client doesn't like them, and therefore stops answering the phone.
And how often do you see, I mean, you obviously see all the closed deals that your agents are closing. Do you ever see that kind of similarity of, oh, they're the same nationality as the agent? Like, are buyers and sellers seeking not just property finder super agents, but are they seeking someone that speaks the same language as
Yeah,
them?
look, it's consistent. And I worked at predominantly a Russian company. So, and we did segment it. So the +44 UK numbers would go to the native English speakers, and the +7s would always go to the Russian speakers. It's just what you're familiar with.
Yeah, and it's probably their preference too, that they'd rather deal with
Yeah,
a Russian
and you
speaker.
know, if you say to someone from England, "Oh, where are you from?" You say, "Oh, you know, there's a pub down the road."
You can banter about it. Yeah,
and that's it then. Kind of the wall of defence and the ice has been broken.
Brilliant. Okay.
Down.
Thank you very much for that. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Catch all of Jack's episodes, and while you're at it, why don't you just binge the whole season?